And welcome to the Across the Hall podcast. I am Brandon Harrington, Mr. Harrington to my students at Red Jacket. And I am joined by a very special guest for this week's edition, the superintendent at Manchester Shortsville Central School District, aka Red Jacket, Charlene Dehn. Mrs. Dehn, 7 years now. I was looking back through my notes here. 2013 was when you took over as superintendent, right?
Yeah, I had my first board meeting on my birthday, January 9th of 2013. And Mr. Leiby before me, his last board meeting was on his birthday in December.
Wow. And I didn't realize how quickly my hire came, because you would have been, I would have been among the first hires for you as superintendent, because I was hired in the spring of 2013.
And I snatched you up as the middle school principal. Right?
Yes, as you were still, well, I think you had taken over at that point as superintendent. But remember, initially, I was picked up for the part-time high school social studies job.
You were.
And I was traded to the middle school, and was there for a year, and then came to the high school.
There were tough negotiations, but we got you.
It feels like about 5 minutes ago that I was sitting in the conference room there with you guys and Mrs. Guerry, and boy, time goes by fast. So it's been 7 years for me. I'm finishing up year 7 at Red Jacket, 6 in the high school. So
yeah,
I think we would both agree that there hasn't been a year quite like this one in our educational careers.
Never, not even in our lifetime.
Oh yeah, right. Let's go back to early March when things started kind of happening. I think back to a Wednesday night when the news came out about Tom Hanks and Rudy Gobert, and it seemed like that was the turning point. So What was it like as you tried to figure out what to do with the whole situation with COVID-19?
Well, in this position, I think it's really challenging in any leadership position, because people want answers when there's not answers.
Yeah.
And so, I think just trying to remain calm and not make any knee-jerk reactions and decisions at that moment, because you really need to assess the whole situation, because any decision that you make has a domino effect on the lives of everyone else,
Yeah.
So I do know that there was a little frustration and anxiety, which is all normal human behavior for people, and wanting answers and decisions to be made immediately. And that's not exactly my style. I kind of have to assess the situation and talk things over with other people, because again, it has a larger impact than individuals really understand.
Yeah. I mean, how many different, just take us through, who are the different stakeholders that you're thinking about when you're trying to figure out how to handle such a unprecedented situation like that?
The first thing that I think about are students, and making sure that they get what they need. We are here to educate our students. That's why we exist. And so first and foremost is, what impact will this have on our students, and how can we make sure that their learning continues? I feel really grateful that at Red Jacket we have the one-to-one program. So, all of our students have Chromebooks, and yeah. And when I first started in this position, that's the first thing that I wanted, was everyone to have their own device. And I was working with Jim Niedermeyer at the time, and he said, well, do you mean iPads? And I said, no, I want everyone to have their own computer so that there's equity within each of the households. And on top of that, I wanted everyone to have access to Wi-Fi. So for those families that didn't have it, I wanted to figure out a way where we would be able to share data so that we could make that happen. And Jim came back to me and said, what do you think about Chromebooks? And I said, well, what are Chromebooks, at the time? And he explained that they're web-based and they're more durable. And that was the choice that we made way back then. And it was really to provide equity for all of our students, so that when, work has to be done at home, they have access. And so I'm grateful that we did that, because there's a lot of schools,
you're exactly right,
all around us, like directly around us, that may have technology, but not every student has technology K through 12. So I know it's very difficult on teachers, though, because you know, you're going from teaching in the classroom and using Google Classroom or other different platforms to suddenly being an online instructor overnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another factor. You know, you have different comfort levels with all of your
Yeah.
teachers as well, you know, so that's quite a hardship, not just for students and parents, um, but for teachers as well. I mean, it's like flipping a light switch. Suddenly, now you're an online educator. But I wanted to make sure that, you know, some people wanted me to make the decision in the auditorium, you know, like immediately.
Yeah.
Don't you care about us? You know, we should be home. We shouldn't be here. Um, I do care about everyone, but not everybody was prepared to have all of their materials at home to be able to, you know, educate our students. And everyone was at a different you know, place at a different place at that moment in time. And, you know, at the time it was maintain 6 feet of physical
Yeah.
distancing, and to be alone in your classroom, it certainly is not, to me, a huge safety issue. You know, so I listened and I appreciated the concern, and it was like a, you know, knife stabbing me in the heart to hear someone say that, because I do care very deeply for all of our staff and our students, and never ever would place anyone in harm's way.
Yeah, and it was, you know, so much happening so fast. I know you and I had a conversation
Yeah,
because I was in a situation where my wife was sick at the time and trying to
yeah,
figure out, you know, she eventually did get tested for COVID-19 and was negative, but by the time she was tested, there's still very good chance she may have had it. So I'm anxiously awaiting the antibody testing. We're hoping that we're going to be able to get an antibody test for her here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah,
be really,
there was a lot happening in a short amount
yeah,
of time. And even now we're still learning more information about the disease, you know, and it seems like one week we think one thing about the way it spreads and some of the different aspects of it. And then, you know, a couple days
right.
later, a week later, it's completely different. So, I mean, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and now they're saying that it's, you know, not staying on surfaces for any length of time. And
Yeah.
so we're really trying to understand all of that. Um, you know, we have a phase 1 plan right now. So we have staff on modified schedules. We have the essential workers, which
Yeah.
I'm here at work every single day. Chris Gueri, our assistant superintendent, is here every day with me. Our business manager, who also is in charge of buildings and grounds. We're here every single day with the food service folks. The food service folks are on a little bit of a modified schedule, so not all of them are here all at once. Our bus drivers and aides who are helping with deliveries, meal deliveries, the same situation. They're on a very modified
Yeah.
schedule. Everyone's wearing face masks or coverings and gloves and stuff like that. But the first thing that we talked about was meals. How could we make sure our students had meals, especially if parents were still working at that time? And although a lot of our surrounding school districts are doing meal pickup, we started out with meal pickup, but I was concerned about families whose parents were working
Yeah.
and kids didn't have vehicles to get here to pick up their food, or families that might not have a vehicle to pick up the food. So I suggested, you know, we need to deliver the food and have a rotating schedule. If we have one aide and one driver on a bus together, you know, and in the first week, Chris and I and Tim helped with food delivery until we got a delivery schedule up and running. And now it's on a rotational
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
So people are working shorter hours and on a modified rotating schedule. So we're,
It's
we're
been
delivering,
impressive.
we're
It's
delivering
been,
over 800 meals.
yeah, I was going to say, it's been impressive.
Okay.
Some of the numbers. What,
Yeah.
what, what are some of the numbers that you can share with us? I know you've posted them online a little bit.
I think we're at like 830 meals right now. It
Wow.
changes. Some people have been added on and some people have, you know,
Yeah.
decided not to continue with meals. So, but we're in that ballpark. Every day it changes a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm pleased that we're able to do that. The meals are all free for our students because we're part of the federal program. The question that I have now is, would we be able to provide meals during the summer? If federal funding comes through, we'll be able to do that. If it doesn't, then we won't be able to do that. It just depends, and every district is in a little bit of a different position with that. So as of right now, the meals will end, when school ends on the 18th will be our last delivery. However, I am going to be looking for any opportunities to serve our students during the summer if we can do that.
Definitely. The meals thing is obviously a huge service to the community. And we know this whole situation is obviously not what anyone wanted to happen. But with that said, there's been some silver linings, right? What are some things you've seen as superintendent, whether it's teachers, bus drivers, other staff members kind of stepping up during this time span and maybe doing some things that are outside the normal job description?
Our staff, we have a remarkable staff. I've always felt that way. I feel like Red Jacket is just a gem. We have such a great community. Everybody's really close knit. I feel as though even though we are apart, it has brought us closer together. We've had teachers doing home deliveries with schoolwork because they're online, but they're also providing, some hands-on work. And so they've actually been going to their students' homes and making deliveries. I mean, that's like way above and beyond that you would ever expect anyone to do. And, and our bus drivers, the same thing, and we've had our aides and bus drivers offer to volunteer their time. They haven't had to do that, but they've offered to do that. We've had a number of donations that people want to be anonymous, but, very generous donations from our staff, from teachers and administrators, and from bus drivers, and, for our families. It's been really remarkable. I always felt that way about Red Jacket, but, in a time of crisis, it really, really shows, how deeply people care about one another and our students. It's amazing.
The teacher parade was pretty remarkable, and then of course we had the drive-through award ceremony for the high school and the middle school, and Brighton has done some stuff up here. My daughter's a fourth grader at French Road Elementary School, and it's different, but those experiences are important for the kids, especially for the little ones, I think, to just at least, see their teachers and see the staff members.
It's a way to remain connected,
Yeah.
And I think, the technology and, a lot of our teachers are doing Zoom meetings with our kids, so they have the face-to-face interactions, and that's awesome. So that's another way of like at least feeling connected.
Yeah.
But I think the parade with all of our staff and the award ceremonies and students of the month, all of those things have still been going on. We're trying so hard to make sure that we honor our students and keep them connected, even though it's more challenging. You have to be more creative.
Speaking of which, let's talk about graduation, because obviously honoring students, the culmination of going through the experience at Red Jacket is that graduation. And I don't know about you, but when these things started kind of taking place and you could kind of tell that things were going to be shut down probably for the remainder of the year, one of my first thoughts was, man, what a tough time to be a senior.
Yeah.
But with that said, we're trying to do the best we can. And I know take us a little bit through the process in terms of graduation and what's going to be happening for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in meetings with Ontario County Health and with the other superintendents in the region. We have regular meetings. In fact, they're meeting right now through Zoom to share information. We are bound by the governor's executive orders. I was really hopeful that we would be able to have graduation on our football field, because I feel as though we would be able to maintain physical distancing, and we could have put protocols into place to keep it safe and also wear masks on top of being physically distanced. But we were told through Ontario County that we were not able to do that. And the other school districts that wanted to do the same are also not allowed to do that as well, because it would go against the governor's executive order for gatherings, which can't be any more than 10 people at a time.
Yeah.
So that was a concern. The first thing, though, that I did was spoke with Mark Bracey, and we agreed to conduct a survey with our seniors and their parents. I know there's been, from my understanding, a lot of information out on Facebook with concerns and opinions and ideas. But we wanted to hear directly from the seniors and their families themselves. Yeah. So we sent out a survey and gave some suggestions of football field, drive-in movie theater, or like a virtual graduation. That was the first survey. Most people selected graduation on the football field, with the drive-in second.
Yeah.
So then when the football field was not going to be an option for us, I spoke with Mr. Bracey again, and we discussed sending out another survey to the seniors and their parents. And, so they had the option of the drive-in, virtual ceremony, or they could have gone, had an individual ceremony basically with their parents on the stage, and we could have done that. So it looks like the majority of students and families that filled out the survey selected the drive-in movie theater, which I think is a good option, because at least we'll be able to hear the speeches of our Vals and Sals, and everybody will be together. So
and it is kind of unique.
Yeah, it's unique. We'll never forget it. It's definitely something, different.
I joked around when it first came up in the faculty meeting. I was like, it's going to be like the movie Cars, where all the cars, so.
Yeah, Mr. Bracey is there now, actually, trying to organize and plan at the site. So he's there. He invited me. I said, no, I have a meeting with Mr. Harrington. So.
Very important stuff.
That's right.
And again, that'll be on June 13th, right?
Right.
With a rain date of June. Are we still going to have a rain date, or is it going to be rain or shine for?
I believe it'll be rain or shine in that situation. Okay. Also during on that same day at 11 o'clock, we have a banner flight for our seniors to honor our seniors. So the administrators have paid for a banner flight. So a plane will go out of Hopewell Airport, which is awesome. In our community, pulling a banner to honor our seniors over our community. So I'll put the flight path up on
That's pretty cool.
Facebook. Yeah. And it's quite a challenge. I mean, I didn't know how a banner was actually picked up by an airplane. The banner is not attached to the plane when the plane takes off, because it has to get enough speed up.
Yeah, it'd be too much drag on it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it has to fly around and swoop down and pick up the banner and take
almost
off.
Like a crop duster, huh? Except you pick up the banner.
Yeah. So should be interesting. We're going to try to videotape that so that,
that's awesome.
So that families can see that.
I want to talk a little bit more about your interest in flying a little bit later in the podcast. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about what's happening at Red Jacket. Again, silver linings, right? I mean, obviously we didn't want school to physically shut down, but it has allowed for a lot of construction to get done. What's happening right now at the building? I know there's a lot of changes. I was in the faculty room yesterday, and I guess it was Monday, and Mrs. Jabasi came in, and she's like, there's no door there to the kitchen. And I hadn't even noticed, because I was over by the vending machine.
It's gone.
Like, oh, yeah, there's a brick wall there now. So, tell us what's going on.
The thing that's really nice about capital projects that people, I don't think in the past really understood, but I do believe that folks know now, is that Red Jacket gets 88% state aid back for capital projects. So if you're a homeowner and you had $100,000 worth of home renovations that you wanted to do, I know that's a lot, but let's just keep it round. And you wanted to build a whole new kitchen and an addition, and it was going to cost $100,000. And the state said to you, if you do that, we'll give you $90,000 back. Would you do it? Yeah, I would do it too. So I use that explanation because people say, well, that's my taxes. And I say, yeah, it's your taxes. It's my taxes. Everybody who pays taxes, it's all of our taxes across New York State. And the state sets this money aside for school districts to do capital projects. So if Red Jacket doesn't take advantage of the state aid that we get back, like why not get our own money back? Then other school districts will. So I'm thankful that 90% of our voters voted yes for this past $12 million capital project. And we'll continue to have capital projects because we want to keep up with our buildings and grounds. And a lot of it has to do with safety and security and general maintenance. So you can see out front, in the front of the building, there was wood during our ceremony over the top of the windows.
Yeah.
Because our original windows from the 60s, and well, some of them are from the 70s and 80s as well, those are all being replaced with new energy efficient windows. And it's about time. I mean, I was in the front end of that building, and there's breezes coming through the edges of the windows, and they're just
and there's stains on them, and it's time.
Yeah. I mean, they've lasted a long time from the 60s and 70s and 80s.
Definitely.
So they're being replaced, and our kitchen, some of the areas are original, like the kitchen, the fax room that was just done. The cabinetry was all from the 60s. Our kitchen is being redone in the high school. And so some of the equipment that's in there is like, within the last 10 or 15 years, we're keeping that equipment. We're not replacing that. But we are getting a new freezer that the current freezer does have like condensation underneath, which is causing mold and stuff like that. So we are getting a new freezer and a new refrigeration unit. But we're also reconfiguring the lunch line. The lunch line in the back was kind of a problem with maintaining visual contact with students. There were some issues with that back line. So both lines will be now up front. So it's going to be reconfigured and hopefully more efficient for our kitchen folks when they're making meal preps, for breakfast and lunch. So that's being done right now. That's all gutted. Our technology room, John Sarazen's technology room, I helped him clean that out. That is completely being gutted. It's going to be all state-of-the-art equipment in there. So that's very exciting. That's going to really help bolster our tech program.
And then the old gym, there's a lot of renovations going on with the locker rooms, right?
Yeah. So the old gym, the floor itself is going to be the lining on the floor, the basketball, it'll now be like regulation size, which it wasn't before.
Oh, I can tell you firsthand that it wasn't, Mrs. Dehn, because I went to Naples, and Red Jacket and Naples, of course, are in the same conference, in the same league, the Finger Lakes West. And it was not fun being trapped in a full court press at Red Jacket in the 1990s. And the Red Jacket had some very good basketball teams in the 1990s. So I love it. I still have nightmares. I was the point guard. I still have nightmares about trying to get the ball up at Red Jacket.
Yeah, so it'll be regulation size. And the bleachers are going to be handicap accessible. Okay. So they'll be updated. And we're getting rid of our gang style showers and locker rooms, and going to changing rooms, sort of like dressing rooms, so that students will have individual changing rooms. It's dignity for all, really. I mean, I don't know about you, but I still have nightmares from, high school and being, I'm just kind of a shy person, I say treat everybody with dignity and respect. So if someone wants to take a shower, they can take an individual shower. There's going to be some showers available that are, individual changing rooms with a shower in them. And then there's going to be individual changing rooms for all of our students. The athletics teams will still have 2 team rooms.
Yeah.
So they'll have separate team rooms, but now PE and athletics will be separated, which I think is going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all. I don't even recognize it down there right
Yeah.
now. I'm having
Yeah.
a hard time visualizing it, but they're moving right along.
And then for people in the community who may not realize, these were things that happened before we got to this spring, but completely redoing, this would have been ready for this school year, redoing the middle school entrance, moving district offices, those
Yeah.
things, great additions.
Yeah, so we didn't have a secure entrance at the middle school, and although there's varying opinions on it. Some people felt safe and they didn't feel like it was necessary, and I say to folks that feel that way that it's not about you as an individual, it's about everyone. It's a school, it's a public building, and really in this day and age we need secure entrances. And so now the middle school has a secure entrance, and that's one of the safety upgrades that we made. And so the district office now has moved over to the elementary school to share the secure entrance there, and business and maintenance has remained over in where the old district office area is currently.
Yeah.
Where it was. So
Awesome.
we made those changes. The elementary gym was upgraded as well. That space looks great. The glass pane at the top, I can't remember
Yeah.
what it's called, but that was replaced. It was broken for years. That was replaced, and it's all.
Yeah, this is all stuff that needs to happen, and it's a good transition into our budget vote. Part of the reason that I brought you on for this week, that is coming up next Tuesday, but it's being done via absentee ballot. And so
Right.
I know most all school districts are doing that. I just actually sent my ballot into Brighton a couple days ago, but
Yeah, we didn't have a choice on that. That
yeah,
was a requirement.
yeah,
So, and I know that it's uncomfortable signing the outside of that envelope with your name, but it's a requirement. That's not a
yeah,
red jacket thing. That's the way it has to be done. If we get ballots back without their name signed on the outside, they don't even count. So I've tried to be very explicit with that. We don't, once we get those ballots, and the name is on the outside,
you're not tracking it. Yeah,
we're not tracking it. Yeah, and the votes are in the inside. They go
yeah.
into the ballot box
It's
where
the
other
same with
people
Brighton. Yeah,
where other people will be tallying up the votes. So it wasn't a choice that we had. It was an unforeseen expense. COVID-19 has taken a toll on our school and our community and our businesses. We've been really trying to promote our businesses in our town. Our school has, because we want to try to help our economy, our local economy, stay as strong as it can through such tough times. So you'll see some of the videos that I've created on our Facebook page. Chris posts them for me, and so we've really been trying to promote our local businesses, but it has had a toll on our school. You can imagine we're trying to prep for opening in September. Hopefully we can open in September. We're trying to prep for that. Not only did we have to do a continuity of learning plan, which was a very in-depth plan that was sent to the state for approval when our school building closed. School didn't close, but the building itself closed. We have to work on a plan for re-entry and reopening as well.
yeah.
Trying to maintain 6-foot distance in a classroom is a challenge. So, but it's also, all of this has had a budget impact as well. We've had to purchase face masks for all of our faculty and staff. We've had to buy extra gloves. We've had to put up sanitizer dispensers throughout our entire buildings. We purchased some non-touch thermometers. We are trying to modify our schedules and stuff like that for our students. One of the other pieces that could have another expense is busing. If we have to have fewer students on a bus and we have to do more runs, that's going to be a challenge. It's going to impact the academic schedule, number one, because we won't be able to get kids here on time if we're having additional runs. But also then you're talking about an additional expense under transportation as well. And then even just doing the absentee ballot voting was a huge expense.
Prepaid postage, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that alone was close to $10,000 just to do that. The community library has their own budget vote. It's a separate vote, but their ballot is in with ours so that they didn't have that additional expense as well.
Did you got, does Red Jacket send a ballot for each eligible voter in a house, or do they have to, they do? Okay.
We
right?
do,
You only
yeah.
got one and you had to then contact to get additional ballots.
Well, so we're required to do that, and we don't have a master list of everyone in our district.
Yeah.
We had to get that through Ontario County. So
Okay.
so I've been urging people, if you got one ballot, but there's 2 voters in your household, please contact Kim Brown at our school and she'll send an additional ballot. So it's not foolproof. There are issues.
Yeah.
I did hear about a family, a person who's from a different district getting one of our ballots, but their, Red Jacket is on one side of the road and the other school district is on the other.
Yeah.
And, we apologize for any of those types of errors, but we go by the Ontario County list that's provided to us, and then that all goes through the mail. So if someone didn't get a ballot or someone got 2 ballots or anything like that, I apologize. All I can say is that if people need to get ballots, if you're 18 and older and you're a resident of our school district and you didn't get one in the mail, so please contact Kim Brown at
289-3964, kim.brown@redjacket.org. Hopefully people can spell Kim Brown, right? It's just like
yes. Yeah, thank you. Exactly. So the governor has expressed to school districts that we could have up to a 20% reduction in our state aid.
Yeah.
If we have a 20% reduction in our state aid at Red Jacket, that means it would be a reduction of $1.8 million to our school, which is huge,
That's unbelievable.
And then on top of that, he said to expect mid-year cuts as well. Well, mid-year cuts poses a real problem for us because if we have to make reductions mid-year and we've got schedules in place, that could be really problematic, because when we're talking about reductions, we're talking about people and reducing people, because our business is a people business. You can't reduce utilities. You have to heat the buildings. There's only so many places where you can reduce,
Well, the good news is, Charlene, that you had done a real good job in terms of keeping those tax levy increases down in the years leading up to this, right?
Well, we have, because we've been very responsible. I mean, I did place on the front of the newsletter, in 2012-13, we were at 0%, then 1.9, 1.9, 1.2, 0, 0, 1.5, 1.86, and now we're asking for a 3.28. And although that is under the tax cap, it's not over the tax cap. It is under the tax cap. And it's not going to bridge the gap if indeed we have a 20% reduction in state aid. But it will help maintain our workforce. As you work here, we don't have a lot of overhead. We don't have fluff in our budget. There's 7 total administrators. We don't have any middle management whatsoever. We don't have any deans of students. We don't have any assistants. We don't have extra teachers without schedules.
Yeah.
We don't have aides without, work to do. We don't have extra secretaries. There's not extra people with nothing to do in our school district,
No, there's not.
Everyone works very hard and wears multiple hats. I mean, as a teacher, we have teachers that teach 6 classes, and you know what? Some of them might actually have 6 preps.
Yeah.
a huge
Well, I can tell you firsthand that
yeah.
I've had 4 different preps.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean,
You know,
that's a lot. We're all wearing multiple hats, you know, and that's what we do. We love what we do. We love our school district. We love our students, and that's why we're here, you know. But
or even
anyway,
like, thinking about you talking about recording videos and whatnot. Larger school districts, they're going to have a media relations person. But
yeah, we
that's
don't have
yeah,
we're it. Chris and I
yeah,
do
right.
it.
Yes, you and Chris.
Yeah.
And I help out once in a while with a podcast, right?
Oh,
But
you do a great job. But we're all in it, you know. We're all in it
oh yeah,
together.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, and that's those are the challenges of a small school district, but it's also what makes it kind of unique. I almost
right.
died when on the message boards on Facebook with Brighton, and again, probably the advice there is to just stay away from those message boards. But basically somebody posting, well, school hasn't been in session, so school should be saving all this money, and how are you asking to increase our tax levy? And I almost just went, oh my God, see the big picture. State aid cuts are coming. There are other expenses like you just talked about. So I really hope people realize that
Well,
are not making out financially because of COVID-19. Trust me.
right. Well, and there's increased workload, believe it or not. I mean, now
Mm.
you are teaching from home, which is completely changing the way you teach, you
Yep.
know? I mean, just because you had technology and you were using it before doesn't mean you were using it 100% from your own home to
Yeah.
someone else's home.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing meal delivery, and yeah, we could have done meal pickup, but that's a disservice to our families, especially when we're paying our bus drivers and aides and support staff and everyone. So, you know, it makes sense to, if we can do it, why not do it? And that's not an additional cost, but it's an additional workload. You know, the continuity of learning plans, all of the state plans that are required for us to submit to the state education department, and all of the funded and mostly unfunded mandates are all the same, whether or not the district is smaller or larger. So we have the same workload as Canandaigua or Victor or Geneva or Pelmac, all of the larger school districts. We have the same number of mandates and requirements and work to do with fewer staff to do it. The number of students doesn't matter. All of the mandates and the requirements are still the same as every other school district. We just have fewer staff members doing it. But then, you know, coming up with the continuity of learning plan and the whole new graduation scenario, and then the phase 1 and phase 2 reopening plans that are required. All of those are, you know, additional workload on top of everything that we've been doing all along, you know.
How much in touch and how closely are you working with other superintendents with a similar profile to Red Jacket? So the Bloomfields, the Naples, the Honeoys, the other, in terms of how to deal with some of these issues and thinking about reopening for the fall.
We have regular meetings.
Yeah.
So we've been having regular Zoom meetings every week. So we do share information with one another. Everybody is a little bit unique though. Like some districts are not doing like delivery, you know, for meals right now. You know, most of their people maybe are working from home. Most of ours are working from home at this point because it's, you know, our teaching staff, but, you know, the offices have been pretty much in full force, you know. But we do have regular communication with the other school districts.
Yeah. Looking ahead to the fall, and again, I know a lot is up in the air, and you mentioned the masks. I mean, do you think we're going to be looking at a situation where all staff and students are going to be wearing masks? Is it just going to be staff? And what happens when it's 90 degrees in September?
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah. All right, I'm not going to pretend to know the answers because I don't know the answers.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to put together some plans, and they're going to be a couple of different scenarios, just like we did for graduation, you know. So it'll be based on different scenarios. I mean, there's either we're all back and it's the way it normally is. I don't think it's going to be that way. But that would be, just return as normal. And then there might be a possibility of a hybrid situation if the governor gives us some relief with the minimum number of days, 180 minimum student days, and either 990 instructional hours or 900 instructional hours per, like, elementary versus high school, secondary. If there's any relief there, then we might be able to do some sort of a hybrid schedule where some students are still at home, online on certain days, and some kids are here and maybe they switch. That way you might be able to maintain 6 feet of physical distancing.
Yeah.
I've already asked teachers to take home any furniture that might be their own personal furniture to try to create more physical space within the classrooms. And if there's any other furniture that can go into storage, to do so that we can try to create more space in the classrooms for physical distancing. But even with our really low class sizes, I mean, we have a average class size of like 20, basically, across the district. Even with 20 in a classroom, you can't maintain 6 feet of physical distancing.
No, not in my classroom. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, none of them. So well, maybe if you were to teach out of the auditorium or possibly the gym or whatever. But so that means that everybody would have to wear masks given the situation as it is now. So, that's what we're up against. I'm concerned about PE with the numbers and, the physical contact, obviously.
Chorus.
Band, chorus, yep. Hallway passing, the lunch.
How's lunch going to work? Study halls. Yeah. That's
right.
And then, when you look ahead at potential budget shortfalls, if you ever have to start cutting back on faculty and staff, I mean, now you're talking about, well, you're going to actually need more because you're going to have more smaller groups of kids in class. It's just.
But we don't even have the physical space to do that even, Yeah. And we're not alone. I mean, other schools.
Oh, no.
Some schools have 25 to 30 kids in a classroom.
Yeah.
At least.
Well, I guess it's, you gotta, as superintendent, it's a tough balance of, I'm sure part of you, when you start thinking about all these different scenarios, it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to get too ahead of yourself and start creating problems for yourself that may never have to be solved. Yet at the same time, you want to be in a position to be prepared to make things happen as quickly as possible once word comes down from the state, right?
Right. So you want to have some contingency plans sort of outlined, The other piece that I would like to do is when we get the contingency plans written, I would like to then share them out with our teaching staff and others so that they can try to, help with it because, ideas come from so many different places, I'm not the person alone, we really truly are a team and it's important to try to involve as many people as possible. I've already reached out to individuals like our music department because I'm concerned about chorus and singing and, how do you do that? So just to see what their thoughts are,
Necessity is the mother of invention and innovation, and we're all going to have to put our thinking caps on, to use an elementary school analogy. But, one thing real quick, I never got a chance to weigh in earlier. You're not exaggerating at all when you talk about how prepared Red Jacket was for being able to transition to distance learning, and really appreciate your efforts and Jim Niedermeyer's efforts and all the people who made the Chromebook thing happen. Because talking with other people in other schools who are running off packets and all the logistics that go with that and the challenges of keeping in touch with students. I really think that the Red Jacket community should appreciate how much easier it's been for us compared to some other people to
Yeah.
make that transition. So
One of the things, though, too, is that at that time, you know, I was, hold on, my lights have turned off.
uh-oh, got to
There we
move
go.
more. There we go.
See, it's a part of that was the energy savings project that we.
There you go. Great
um,
demonstration. Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, you know, we went away from the laptop carts and the mobile units that we had for the Chromebooks. And so that was actually, I became the business manager at that time too, because
Yeah.
Bob Libby was the superintendent and business manager. And that's really not my background, but you know, you do what you have to do.
And while I'm thinking of it, thanks to Mrs. Bailey, to Sue Bailey and Nate Grant for all the support
they're
that they provide.
amazing.
They are
They're
unbelievable.
technology. Yep. They're the dynamic duo.
Yep.
But
Definitely.
what I was going to say is that actually going to the Chromebooks and providing every student with a device and making sure our families had MiFi was actually less expensive than having our mobile laptop units throughout our district. So it was not only the right thing for our students and to try to create some equity among our families and students, but also it was a great fiscal move for our district. So.
Thank you for sharing so much of this great information. We got about 10 minutes left because I want to really keep you more than an hour. So let's have some fun here. I want to play a little rapid fire questions on you here on just a little bit about your background. You grew up in Victor?
Yes, Victor, right next door. Yeah, when Victor was small. I grew up when Victor was a much smaller place. I'm part of the old Victor, not the new Victor.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing to see how much Victor has grown in the last, 50 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you stay, where'd you go to college, and did you stay local for your education, or?
Yeah, I stayed local. I grew up in Victor, a large family, a very small house. My father passed away when I was 15, and I started working from then on and myself through school. Yeah,
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had two older brothers, an older sister. I have a twin sister, and my cousin lived with us, and we lived in a ranch house that was under 900 square feet. So
hey, now bathroom sharing big time, huh?
Yeah. But
I did not know you were a twin. Identical twin?
No, fraternal.
Fraternal. Okay.
Yeah. She used to tease me about that when we were little. So now I say you're older. It works for me.
Yeah. It's always weird when you know one twin and not the other, particularly if they're identical. Like Mrs. Sargent, for example, who is now in Pittsburgh. But you know, you never. It's weird to think that you only know one of the twins and they have another one out there somewhere.
Well, and Mrs. Sweet is a twin also.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, I should have brought that up when I had her on the podcast. So where'd you go to college?
So I went to Nazareth College.
Okay.
I stayed there for my bachelor's and master's. And while I was at college, I was working full-time for Ontario County ARC. And then when I got my teaching job, I still worked at Ontario ARC, and then I volunteered for them after that. And I started teaching at Mid Lakes. Mid Lakes was a great school district. I feel like they're my cousin, you know.
Right next door.
Yeah, I thought I would retire from there.
What did you teach at Mid Lakes?
I was a special education teacher, and I was at the intermediate level, and I looped up with my students and then back down. And then I became, they gave me a lot of opportunities, offered me to fill in for the principal while I was teaching, who was having bypass surgery and was going to be out for a while. So, you know, to try to address the needs of families while he was out, so they didn't fill his position.
Yeah.
And then I was also chairing CSE meetings and stuff like that. They gave me a lot of administrative opportunities. I wasn't really looking to be an administrator at all, like ever. When I just thought I would be a teacher. I loved what I did. You know, I loved students. But they continued to give me more and more responsibilities. So I decided that I would take some admin courses And then they offered me more opportunities there, but I was snatched up by Gananda and became their Director of Special Services and Coordinator of Curriculum and Staff Development, and wrote all their grants. And that was a great experience, a great learning experience.
Yeah.
And then the middle school position opened up here and brought me closer to students. And so I came over to Red Jacket, and, you know,
How long were you the middle school principal before you took over as superintendent?
I think I started in 2005. Yeah, I think I started in 2005.
So that would have been eight years, your
Maybe.
8th year.
Yeah.
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 So 15
It
years
doesn't
at RJ
seem like
now,
that
huh?
long ago, really.
It's ridiculous. It's 5 minutes ago.
But anyway, I
yeah.
started flying.
Yeah. So tell me,
Yeah.
how did you get into flying?
I started flying when I was at Gananda, I think.
How did you get into it?
My screen froze.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
I don't know. I've always wanted to do it, and so I just went to Canandaigua Airport, and I asked for a lesson, and I took my first lesson. My very first lesson was with Mike Schubert, and the very first thing that he did was a stall with me, and I was hooked ever since.
A stall?
It was exciting.
Explain. Did you say stall?
Yeah, we took off, and the first thing that he did was practice to stall with me, and stalled the airplane. And it was like so exciting to me. I was like, I got to do it. This is what I have to do. I need to learn.
So you have a 30-second elevator speech. So I always tell the students, what's your elevator speech, right? You're in the elevator with somebody, you only have like 30 seconds. Talk me into flying, because I've always thought I have some interest in it as well, but I've never done it.
I say that fun is not overrated, and that you need to have fun in life. And so that's why you need to follow your passions and go for it. You know, if not you, then who's going to do it? So go for it. You know, I think that people should follow their dreams and really try to maximize life. You know, do everything that you can. You only have one life, so make it, make it great, and follow your dreams.
Safer than driving, right?
What's that?
Safer than driving a car, right? Flying?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think statistically it's been proven.
That's what they say. Yeah. I just feel as though, you should go for it if you want to do it. Why not? What's holding you back? It did take me a long time because it was expensive.
Yeah.
So I didn't get it right away. So, that it did take me longer than I wanted. But I didn't give up on it. And
how much training does it take to get your pilot's license in terms of hours and I guess there's ground school, right? Because you've started a flying club at Red Jacket. And I've heard you talk about ground school, and then you have to get the training in the plane, right?
Right. So you do have to be tested. I mean, there are definitely like milestones. So you have to have more than 40 hours of flight time, and you have to have some cross-country flight time. You have to demonstrate proficiency with, stalls and steep and shallow turns. And so there's definitely like a whole list of proficiencies that you have to accomplish. There's a written test. There's ground school. All of those milestones have to be logged into your logbook. And
gotcha.
And then like for the private pilot test, the written test, I had to go to Rochester, and there's a camera on you, and you take a test for to answer questions. I can't remember what the time frame. Maybe it's like 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Everything is in the FAA regulations.
Yeah.
So you'll see the whole list, but I mean, it is quite involved,
Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that once Macy, my daughter, turns 18 and we get her out of the house and she's on her feet, then maybe then maybe I'll look to make it happen.
I think that you and Macy should consider taking lessons together when she turns 14.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
She can take the test when she's 17.
wow. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
The thing that excites me, I guess, is the freedom of it, potentially, of just being able to, I mean, I mean, that's what I love about driving and road trips, right? It's like you can just kind of go where you want. Now we're opening it up 3 dimensions, right? I mean, and the views have to be unbelievable. I still remember the first time that I flew on an airplane, where I was old enough to remember. We flew over the Finger Lakes going from Rochester to New York City, and the sun was coming up, and you could see right down all the Finger Lakes, and I was just blown away by that image.
Yeah, it is really beautiful. It's exciting. The first time you ever take off by yourself, I mean, that's the ultimate performance assessment. Think about it. Taking off by yourself.
Was your heart pounding in your chest when you did that first time?
No, I was really excited. I just was so excited about it. It was, I don't know, it wasn't a scary thing for me, but,
I still remember when I went to school in Virginia at Washington and Lee University, and when I didn't have a car my freshman year. And so the first time I had my own car was going down for sophomore year. And I still remember the freedom and the excitement of being like packing all the stuff in my Jeep pickup truck and heading down Interstate 81. It's a cool feeling, definitely.
I love taking our students up. It's really exciting. It's so fun to see the excitement and the thrill in their eyes and their voice and their their actions. It's a lot of fun to take them up and share that with them.
How often do you fly?
I haven't been up for a while. I had my airplane work done and the annual is done. So I went up last weekend. I try to get up.
You're playing at Hopewell? Is that where you keep it?
Yeah. So I try to get up, at least on the weekends throughout the summer, and the fall. The fall is a fun time to fly because it's so pretty.
Oh, I bet.
And everything, yeah. I used to, in the wintertime, I used to keep it at Penn Yan. But I didn't fly too much in the winter because it's just too cold.
Yeah. And
it's hard to get good weather because it gets darker earlier. So after work, it's already dark. And then,
that's a good point.
Weather on the weekends, So that wasn't
growing up in Naples, Dansville is only about a half hour away. So I have very early memories of watching the planes land and take off, and then the gliders. There are a lot of gliders that go out of that little Dansville airport right next to the McDonald's.
Yeah. Have you ever been up in a glider?
No, I have not.
Mrs. Tall and I did that together. We went on a glider.
That has to be with no engine or anything, though. I guess like when you talked about the stall before.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be very quiet and peaceful, right?
Yeah, it was really neat. We it was near Cornell. I can't think of the name of the place, but anyway, it was.
Yeah.
We went up separately. We each had our own glider pilot, and you get towed behind an airplane, and then the tow rope lets you go, and you're just gliding.
Yeah. I remember watching it in Dansville to see how it worked.
Yeah.
What about skydiving? Have you thought about skydiving?
Yeah, I have. I would like to try that.
That's another thing. There's some things I'm scared to death of. Many of them involving water. But for some reason, skydiving, if I'm doing it with like a tandem jump, right, which is what you start out with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I'm older, I'm going to do that.
Why are you waiting until you're older?
Just in case something goes wrong, Charlene.
It's going to be your last. I have to get everything else.
I want to make sure I got my best years. Oh, man. Well, this was fun. Again, silver lining on what has been a difficult year. I know with the news lately, especially with all the George Floyd stuff, it's nice to have these conversations that you probably wouldn't have had otherwise. So thank you so much.
Yeah, the whole George Floyd issue is so sad to me, and I feel so badly for his family. I listened to his daughter speak, and I it makes me, I'm going to cry. Just
I
thinking about
know. And you know what I told my seniors, I recorded kind of a message for my senior econ class, said, you don't have to be Blue Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter. I mean, you can be both. Most
Yeah.
police officers, and we know this, seeing the
Yeah.
people who have come through, like now Sheriff Henderson, they do a great job.
Yeah.
But we need to do better on dealing with that very small minority that needs to be dealt with before it gets to the point of what happened in the
Right.
city.
And you know what? We have a lot to be grateful for at Red Jacket and just all of us. I mean, we have so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And I hope that people think about that, and you can
Definitely.
make the best out of a challenging situation, but you know what? Things will get better and things are going to change. And
Yeah. And another thing I told my kids is I think it's a very American characteristic to make the best out of a difficult situation.
Yeah,
I think that's something that Americans do really, really well. So
I agree.
good spot to finish. Thank you so much, Mrs. Dean.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Harrington.
All right. Good luck as we wrap up.
Let me know when you want to go flying, and let me know when you want to jump. I'll jump with you too.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm in.
All right. Thank you.